concept of racial identity as we know it today did not exist in the ancient world. However, the people of antiquity still had ways of labeling, defining, and stereotyping those they saw as foreign or different from them. This was especially true in the Roman Empire, an originally Italic nation which throughout its long history interacted with myriad different cultures in both war and trade, integrated them into its imperial project, and incorporated their religions and customs into fabric of their society. Roman attitude towards race and identity were inspired by the Greek in many ways, but also rejected Greece's legacy in many others. Moreover, Roman experiences in the Near East, North Africa, Germania, and Gaul all helped to shape the empire's perception of outsiders, be they barbaric or civilized, servile or warlike. Welcome to our first episode in Antiquity, covering the Roman Empire and its massive ethnic and cultural diversity. Defining race in ancient Rome requires us to begin with some clarifications on notions of race in ancient Rome. Firstly, Rome's history is massive in scope and length, and it is impossible to cover all the changes in attitude towards other people that occurred within the empire across its many centuries of history. Thus, we will focus on the most well-known period of Roman history, Republican and Imperial Rome, with a specific focus on the thinkers of this time and the laws that existed during this age, to see what both can tell us about how the Roman people viewed other cultures. As with Greece, this attitude can be seen as ethnic prejudice and were not necessarily hierarchical like modern racism, but scholars debate whether they constitute racism in the modern sense. This is also difficult in knowing to what extent commoners shared the prejudice shown in Roman writings, which almost exclusively depicts the perspective of Rome elites. Overall, Roman commoners had more interactions with other people than patricians did. Thus, they had more exposure on how other people live. We'll also discuss whether and how the advent of Christianity or the shift towards Byzantium changed this attitude in any way. Let us start our exploration of Roman race relations by lifting through the writings of some seminal Roman authors and examining what they had to say about foreign people. Coming for the aspirational equestrian class and with allegiances to the aristocratic optimist factions, the Roman senator Cicero is an interesting case study. In seeking to justify Rome imperialism in the Near East, he seems to ascribe a spiritual servitude to Jews and Syrians, for he calls them servituti nati, or in modern English, natural-born slaves. This is not a natural condition, which was the type of racism that European colonizers held against Africans, Americans, and Asians, but it does show a Roman attitude that once someone is enslaved, they lose a part of their humanity. Moreover, Cicero's writings perpetuate a Roman belief that some people, in this case and the people of the Levant, have inherently servile cultures. In Cicero's eyes, what makes a culture servile is not the skin color or appearance of its people, but the climate in which it exists, for he considers not natural blood to be the cause of their supposed defects, but the environment they come from. According to Benjamin Isaac, author of The Invention of Racism in Classical Antiquity, Cicero's approach is focused on climate and environment as the primary factors over any other natural influences, like blood lineage as the primary driver of ethnic differences between people. Such views were driven by Roman imperial attitudes to justify conquest abroad. Cicero's view of the nations that either opposed or were subjugated by Rome are equally meant to differentiate them from the Romans and their own martial elite culture. Gauls faced particularly acidic commentary portrayed by Cicero as a violent people prone to destroying sacred religious shrines. Cicero saved similar vitriol for the Sardinians, who he considered to be particularly barbaric, to the point that even the Phoenicians, who the Romans also despised, found the Sardians unbearable when colonizing their island. Similar sentiments were shared about the people from the Maghreb in North Africa. Cicero's xenophobic attitude stemmed from the imperialist mindset and Roman exceptionalism. The idea that Rome, a veritable shining city on a hill, was surrounded by barbarians, and it was Rome's sacred duty to go forth on a civilizing mission across the world. As we see in Cicero's writing, Roman stereotypes of foreign ethnic groups are often utilized particularly to promote or justify Rome's exceptionalist policies. Nowhere is more evident than in the writings of Julius Caesar in his commentary on the Gauls. During his conquest of Gaul, Caesar was keen to portray the Gallic tribe as lazy, violent, and politically unstable. Caesar also asserts that Gauls who lived near Rome are more decent than those who lived near Germans, with the latter being more martial and violent. This was likely because he considered people who lived further north and therefore further away from civilization to be both more martial and less prone to Roman perceptions of moral degeneracy, such as wearing of trousers or women fighting in battles. However, there is also an intriguing contradiction, one stemming from Caesar's own ambition and self-aggrandizement. According to Caesar, the Gauls' warlike nature, while proof of their barbarity, is also a trait to be admired. Through their rugged, brutal lifestyle, Caesar claimed that the Gauls embodied virtue. This probably stemmed from Caesar's need to show off his own achievements by fighting against a noble enemy. Caesar's behavior in Gaul also shows Roman imperialism disregard for lives of their enemies. Many of Caesar's descriptions of his army's atrocities in Gaul have been compared by some scholars to ethnic cleansing or even genocide, as various massacres took place and even criminal neglect, like the case of Alesia. During the siege of Alesia, Vercingetorix let out the women and children of the besieged city to come out and hopefully be left through the Roman walls. Caesar was intransigent and left them trapped between the Roman and Gallic walls. The grass was as green as it always was on those sinister days, as the Gallic civilians slowly died of starvation. These behaviors were typical of Roman imperialism. Even the Romans themselves were aware of how ruthless and destructive their armies could be. A few decades later, the Roman historian Tacitus would exclaim, "Neither east nor west can state their appetite. They are the only people on earth who covet wealth and poverty with equal craving. They plunder, they butcher, they ravish and call it by the lying name of empire. They make a desert and call it peace."